Okay, and moving on to the next tab we just finished grammar review tab, we're looking at the speaking and writing practice. And we can see that these do align with the chapters. Again, remember in the grammar review, I felt like it was a lot of material just to be aligned with one chapter alone. So that will be broken up. But in the speaking and writing practice, we will follow right along, and these do align with the practice that they taught you, the concepts that they taught you in the chapters, and they align with the homework practices. So Unit 1 exercises, let's go ahead and open it up and see what it looks like. And this is going to be more challenging pretty much as you go. It's getting harder and harder. So it starts off easy, it's just introducing you. Okay, let's practice it a little bit. Okay, now let's learn some grammar. That's usually tougher than conversation, phrases, and vocabulary, typically, not always. And then speaking and writing practice is where you have to put it into practice. So we're using a different level of thinking here. So let's go ahead and Unit 1, speaking and writing. It's available the whole semester, and I'll explain that in the D2L course instead of getting into it here. So it's about with the due dates and things like that. So speaking exercises, I just think these are really, really good, and there are a lot of them. However, the whole purpose of the course is for you to be speaking with patience. So the only way to really get comfortable doing that is to do it. Like, practice makes perfect. The old adage is so true here, just like learning an instrument or learning a sport. You don't go out on Friday night and play the game. You practice all week long and on the weekends, and you're weightlifting and you're drilling, and it's the same thing here. So we need to be putting all of this into practice, and it's okay if it's sloppy. Some of you may be bilingual already, and some of you may have just finished Spanish 101. Wherever you are at, you have to start somewhere, okay? You got to start somewhere. It's okay if it's sloppy and you don't sound like a native Spanish speaker if you've never spoken Spanish before. Just do your best. This is for practice. The speaking and the writing, usually speaking, I'm looking for your grammar verb tenses are conjugated correctly, and you've incorporated the vocabulary correctly. Some pronunciation, I do get tougher on pronunciation as the semester progresses, because you should be progressing on that. But in the beginning, I'm going to take it very lenient on you, and I'm just really looking for, are you putting the concepts into practice? Are you doing your best? Okay, so number 1, let's just open up one of these to keep it to look and see what does it look like. It says a patient comes in your clinic in the morning, greet her, say your name, tell her you speak Spanish a little, ask her how he or she is, and ask how you can help. Okay, that's a lot. Upload your video. I will go over how you're gonna create your video. There are lots of options for creating videos or audios. We can do a video file, we can do an audio file, lots of options here. In the course, actually, we can do it outside of the course and upload it. So I'll go into that also in D2L. Do you need to write it first? That is up to you. If you want to do an impromptu conversation to check to see how fluent can I be without reading this and checking it, by all means, go ahead and do that. If you need to write it out and practice it and then submit it, do that. However, it's really depending on how fluent do you want to get. Practice makes perfect. Again, how well do you want to be able to speak with your patients or clients? As far as writing things out, it's a slippery slope to go into Google and do translate and say, okay, or chat GPT and type all this in, right? And I want to say her, we could copy and paste this in the chat. I'm giving you bad ideas here. You're here to learn, so it's up to you how much you want to learn or how much you want to copy from somewhere else. That's up to you. I can't watch you every second. I won't know what you're doing. So you paid for the course, you will get out of it what you put into it. So let's say we want to write it out first, and we write it out. Don't submit your first recording. It's going to sound like you're reading something that's written. The point here is to sound more native and more fluent. So we don't want it to be super choppy with lots of mispronounced words. Usually the first time that we say something, it's not going to sound so great when we're doing a foreign language. So I would say minimum you're practicing 3 to 4 times before you are submitting your recording. And that being said, do the recording, listen to it, listen to yourself, and yes, it's embarrassing sometimes, and yes, it's takes a little humility to do that, but that is how you're going to practice. It's much easier to sit here and listen to myself than go out and try to speak with another person first and then be corrected by that person or not know if I'm saying it correctly. So you are self-correcting, you are self-assessing. Listen to your recording. This is one of the best things that you can do. This is like recording yourself doing an athletic activity and then critiquing yourself. The same thing here. Record yourself, listen, see where your mistakes are, do it over, do it over, do it over, submit the one that you like the best, okay? There are a ton of activities here. Now these are speaking and written. So you can see speaking exercise 2, it's going to tell you spell the name and last name. And then it gives you the names of people, okay. Some of these can be labor intensive. Phone number is not so labor intensive, but you get the idea. These are all things that we've practiced throughout that chapter. The date. Okay, and let's get down to, there are 7, 8, 9, I think, speaking practice exercises. So yes, those are time consuming. Writing exercise number 1. Okay, and I just wanted to give you a glimpse of what this looks like. Write 10 to 15 word text in Spanish to a patient on their whiteboard in their room. State your name, greet them, ask them how they're doing. Don't forget to use accent marks. We've talked about accent marks in a previous video here. That resource will be posted in your D2L course about how to do that. There's several ways. Okay, so 3 written activities and 9 speaking activities. That is going to be time consuming if you're not copying and pasting and getting it from somewhere else, which again will be up to you. Depends what you want to get out of the course. So do your best. These are, I will leave feedback on those. Sometimes it will be audio feedback. It might be written feedback. I really like leaving audio feedback so you can hear corrections of pronunciation. Obviously, that's a better way to do it. But it's not going to be easy. And this is intimidating and it's embarrassing sometimes, and that's okay. You don't have to be embarrassed that you're in the course because you don't know how to do this yet. If you already knew how to do it, you wouldn't need to be in the course. So for those of you who are new to this, that applies to you. Again, I do have some Spanish speakers who are taking the course, and you still, even if you're a native Spanish speaker, there are still parts in here that you may not know, and there are still facets that you can learn from taking this course and things that you can improve upon. One last note about that. Academic Spanish is different than conversational Spanish. So you are getting a good mix here of formal speaking. And just like in English, we might say something in English like, he don't know nothing, right? And we use double negatives and it's not correct grammar. That's how spoken English and Spanish are. When we're speaking, we usually tend to use the fastest way to say something, or how we were raised, or who we're in a room with. We'll switch how we're speaking depending on who we're speaking to. Written formal grammar is going to be very academic. And this is a professional career field that you're in, so you do want to learn how to say things that are formal and grammatically correct. And so if you are a native Spanish speaker but taken a formal grammar course before, this will improve that as your Spanish. Okay, you can really fixing things that you professional setting and I need to be using. He does not know anything. That's how we would say it. And so in some